So hi,
Course.
thanks so much for talking to me today. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
To start out, can you talk about how you got the role?
Sure thing, sure thing. Um, so that was when I was 17, right? Which was 2 years ago. I'm 19 now. And it was so I go to a camp called Camp No Limits, right? And I assume one of the producers sent an email to Camp No Limits, and Camp No Limits sent it out to all of the campers, and they were like, "Hey guys, does anybody want to audition for this role? It's for a 16-year-old girl with an amputation." And I was like, I do. I absolutely do. And so I sent it to my agent, Bravo Talent Management, and I said, "What do you think about this?" And she said, "Yes, we're going to do it." And so I sent an audition, and they went, "You don't have to be quite so mean. You like your family." And I went, "Oh, okay." And I did another audition, and I sent it in, and they said, "All right, you're coming to LA." And I went, "What?" And then actually the pandemic hit, and then we started up filming again. That
That
was
kind of
nuts.
screwed
It's been a
everything up.
crazy couple of years.
Yeah, yeah. So, from what I can tell, you had one other little role, but how did you feel like getting this, big network part all of a sudden?
So I was talking to somebody about this, and my brain has no concept of like magnitude of things, right? And
Mhm.
so I got the role, and I was like, "It's not real." Because everybody tells you like it's not real until you're on set, right? Like, yeah. So I was nervous, obviously,
Mhm.
but I didn't realize how big it was until I started getting messages from people, and they were like, it's so inspiring. You're so whatever. Like, as an amputee, I feel like I can do something. I feel like I can achieve my dreams. And I didn't realize that I was going to have a platform that I could use to help other people.
Right. Yeah, I was going to ask you, has your life changed a lot since then? But you sort of told me that.
No, oh, okay. Yes and no, right? Because I live in a really small town, like 2,000 people, kind of small. And so the people who talk to me now knew me before, and so it hasn't really changed unless I go onto social media, and I try not to do that because social media stresses me out. But then once you get into social media, or if you're in LA, it definitely has changed, and it's massive.
Right. I was going to say after once all of COVID is gone, you'll probably get it even more since we're still kind of everything hasn't gone back to normal yet.
Yeah.
So, other than the script, was there anywhere else you were inspired for the character? Can you just kind of talk about that?
My what do you mean, my inspiration, Frizzy?
Like any other, I don't know, character or anybody you thought about, anything other than the script that you kind of imbued in the character.
I think Izzy is traits that I wish I had. She has this really special ability to be vulnerable, and that's a really, really hard thing to do. And I I had an acting coach out in Australia, right? And I would immediately go to my first emotion when I was acting. I would go to my first emotion that I thought of. And she said, always find the path to that emotion, right? And always find the vulnerability in situations. And I think that's a lot of who Izzy is vulnerability, and not immediately choosing a certain emotion, which is really good for people with mental health. Of You have to like backtrack and find the original emotion and why do you feel like this.
Mhm.
And for acting as well, it's very intermingling. um yeah, I don't know if that answered your question. I'm sorry if it didn't. That's
No,
all I've
no,
got.
that's okay. So, I know you probably haven't had a whole lot, but did you? I assume you worked with some green screen at the beginning of the series with the sinkhole,
Yeah. The whole
the
um
hole in the ground. So, what was
actually
that
a
like for you?
lot of it was a set. It was So the scene where I'm holding on to Eve's hand, that
Mhm.
was a set. Like, we were on this massive platform, um, and she was on these crazy wires, and she would drop. That was terrifying. Um, and then during the running scenes, it was a real street and everything. It was just the buildings behind that were CGI, and then the animals were CGI, but it's not as much as you would think. And and I think it's weird working with green screen, but also not as weird as you think, because you're oftentimes, when you're in a scene with somebody else, you're really focused on that person and less focused on the scene or the environment, I guess you would say, around you.
That makes sense. So is there someone you'd like the most to have more scenes with, as time goes on? Because you're mostly working with Ian, so.
Yeah. So Owen's so good to work with. He truly is. He's an amazing actor. He's an amazing person. He's an amazing actor. I don't know. I think it would be really, it's difficult to say, like, I want to work with this person, because it's so separate, right? Like I can't say I want to work with Josh. I want to work with Natalie, whatever it is, because it's not, they're so separate. But Owen is so fun to work with. Owen, every single day I'd say it was super fun with him, and he brings his all to every single scene. And so it was really fantastic working with him.
Okay, cool. So have you been to the tar pits?
Absolutely, I have.
You have been?
I actually went before I got this role, and it was so interesting. Have you been to them?
No, I haven't. I'm on the East Coast, so.
Oh, well, whenever you go to LA, I recommend. It's super fascinating, really scary, right? We went, and it was before I knew anything of La Brea, right? Mm-hmm. And we were going down the street, and they had this section of it roped off with caution tape. And we were kind of asking, we were like, what's that about? And they were like, oh yeah, sometimes the street just opens up and there's tar that comes up. Oh, wow. And we went, that seems not safe. And then we heard about La Brea, and I went, oh, no.
I was gonna say that probably helped you with that.
Oh yeah. And then after the first episode aired, we went in celebration to the tar pits too, with my grandparents.
That's cool. So, what do you find the most challenging working on the show?
Vulnerability. I have a lot of difficulty with vulnerability as a human being, because it feels like a weakness to me, even though it isn't, even though it is strength. But that was the most difficult part of playing Izzy, was the vulnerability, and was everybody seeing that, and everybody seeing inside your head and seeing your feelings of everything. I think that that was definitely the most difficult, because the physical stuff, I can do the physical stuff. I can do the angry. I can do it's the soft, the really delicate, that's difficult, I think.
Okay, fair enough. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.